Hello there and welcome to the Coffee with Colm, and thank you for joining me. During the week I was delighted to have been honoured by being presented with an accreditation from the All Ireland Business Foundation as a thought leader in entrepreneur development. Very proud of that. It happened in Croke Park, and I was intrigued to watch all of the various entrepreneurs, all of the people who are on their journeys. I was really intrigued to hear the stories from stage from all of these people who've trodden the path before us. And one of the themes that kept coming through was we got to break through our fears. We got to, know where we're headed and keep going until we break through our fears. And two stories came to mind. The first story that came to mind was Chuck Yeager. Chuck Yeager broke the sound barrier in 1947. He was an American test pilot, and he was the first man ever to go supersonic. And of course, in trying to go supersonic, nobody knew what was going to happen when you hit the sound barrier. All they knew was it was going to be difficult. And so when he hit the sound barrier, when he approached the sound barrier, apparently his plane began to shake uncontrollably, and he feared for his life. And of course, the people on the ground, he was so far away and so high up that they couldn't see what was happening. And all of a sudden there was a sonic boom. What we know today to be a sonic boom, but back in the day nobody on the ground knew what had happened, and they actually thought that his plane had disintegrated. But in fact, Chuck Yeager had actually broken through the sound barrier, had rattled his way through the sound barrier, kept on believing, and eventually came out the far side into perfect peace and perfect calm. And that's the story of many entrepreneurs who just keep going and going and going and going and going, and they get to almost the point of breaking, but they push through, and when they push through they come out into the far side where everything is rosy, at least for a time. And the second story that came to mind was one of my own. I jumped out of a plane, believe it or not, twice. People say, why would you leave a perfectly good airplane? But I have jumped out of a plane twice. Parachute jump, tandem parachute jump from 10,000 feet. And the first time I jumped out of a plane, you're welded to a guy who's trained in parachute jumping, so the risks are very low. And he asked me to shuffle across. We sort of bummed our way across, and I was to open the door of the plane, right? And it was only then that I thought to myself, what in God's name am I doing, right? I'll see these little puffy clouds floating by this airplane, perfectly good airplane, and I'm after opening the door. Next thing, we're sitting on the edge of the airplane, and I'm sitting in front, and he sort of holds my head back like this, and then he rocks forward and back, and the next thing we're flying. And I can't remember what speed we achieved in, nanoseconds. 200 kilometers an hour, can't quite remember. Doesn't matter, very fast and very noisy, okay? And all you see is the earth flying up to meet you, and nothing else. It's just exhilarating, but pure noise, pure speed, pure adrenaline, right? And the next thing, he pulls the ripcord, and of course the parachute opens, and all of a sudden you get pulled back up, and immediately it becomes calm, and it's like us having a conversation here. Quite incredible, because you're going flat out 200 kilometers an hour, and the next thing, all of a sudden, it's over, and you're just floating gently down, and the two of us were having a chat, and it was really interesting. But again, the same thing, I had to push through my fears, to trust in this guy and the system, to roll out of an airplane, plummet towards Earth, trusting and believing that the parachute would open, and thankfully it did. Second time, believe it or not, the parachute didn't open. It's a story for another day. Point being in all of this, every entrepreneur on the stage at the All Ireland Business Summit, every entrepreneur that I am going to have to keep pushing through, and we're going to encounter turbulence. Of course we are. Of course we are. That's life's way of testing your mettle. That's life's way of seeing, are you worthy of the lifestyle that you dream of. And if you push through, I promise you, there's calm and peace and beauty on the other side. So thank you for joining me for this week's Coffee with Colm. If it's your first time here and you'd like more of this type of stuff, well then please pop to the homepage, ColmO'BrienMotivation.com, leave me some details, and make sure you get a link like this every week. Most importantly, please consider what's been shared here today and apply it into your thinking for this next week. And then equally as importantly, please come back next week. We'll share another coffee together, and I'll ruminate on some other aspect of life and business. Between now and then, get some good coffee for sure, get some fresh air for sure, get some R&R. And then when the time is right, and only when the time is right, get your head back in the game, get organised for the week ahead, get stuck in, push through, make next week count, and I'll see you here this time next week for another Coffee with Colm. Sláinte. I love great coffee. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.